right, I think we are live. First episode
Okay.
of the Ripley Boys Radio. And you know what we're about here? We're about a little college basketball. We're about some NFL for the remainder of this season. And we're about a little bit of golf. And we're going to get heavy into baseball here soon. But majority right now, college basketball. And speaking of college basketball, let's start off with those Hoosiers over at Penn State last night. Benny, what do you got to say about that game?
It was a complete embarrassment. I think that the lack of defense, there was just a total lack of defense, and honestly, offense too. Jalen Hood-Schifino, which has been playing the best, he is just didn't play good. He was forcing a lot of shots. He was trying to do everything himself, and this also comes in with Trace. Trace needs to step it up, and so Jalen Hood-Schifino doesn't have to do it all by himself. And one guy doing it all by himself is not going to win the game. And we saw this with Northwestern. I mean, he shot a lot of shots, and he had 30 points, but that's just not going to cut it, and you lose. Trace needs to step up, and this hype around him needs to go away because it isn't deserved. Because it's embarrassing to watch him play basketball. I mean, I might go crazy if I see him spin left and take a shot, and it makes no sense how you can't defend this guy. And it's just embarrassing. And our defense, we're talked about how, we're this great defense. We're this great defensive team, but now that Dane Fife left, I mean, there's no defense. And I think we're just trying to outscore teams because we clearly thought we were a lot better than we are.
Yep, and just kind of building off of that, I agree. Indiana basketball isn't this blue blood school anymore. People back in the day, they'd crawl on their knees from wherever they're at to go play at Indiana. And now, they get an offer from Indiana, and I mean it's just another choice.
And this comes in with the 247 rankings. I mean, we got 112 and 108, and Purdue's getting the 48th best guy in the country.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
I could say the recruiting definitely shouldn't be the problem, but it may be becoming one. I know Rufino Hood-Schifino and Renew were both 5 stars, I believe, but Renew's just not playing up to par yet. He doesn't play any defense. Not really a great shot creator. He kind of works like Trace does in the paint. He does have a jump shot, which is a good thing. But other than that, I mean, he just looks like a 3.5, 4-star player. He's not really blowing my pants off with the way he plays.
Yeah, and a lot of big thing amongst Purdue fans is that Purdue gets these 3 stars and Painter turns them into 5 stars. And for IU, it's totally the opposite. I mean, for instance, look at Jaden Ivey. And he was a 3-star?
3-star, yep.
And I mean, he was probably one of, and maybe last year, the best player in college basketball. And it's disappointing. And I used to think that it was Mike Woodson, but I'm getting to the point where it's like there's just no effort coming from everybody.
Yep. And it starts with the guy up top, the supposed leader of the team. Trace Jackson Davis, 14 points, six of them from free throws, and he shoots 40% from the field, and all of his shots are 2 feet away from the basket. That's just absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I think the farthest he took a shot out last night was the G on the Big Ten logo that sits right in front of the free throw line.
Yeah.
And you're shooting 40%, and that's the farthest away. It's embarrassing, honestly.
Especially it really is. Him. To go along with the 14 points, which 6 of them from free throws, so really you scored 8. and you
Yeah.
got out on a couple really iffy shot selections. He had 11 rebounds, which I mean that's what he's got to do, but 4 turnovers. And the turnovers are killing this team. And it just
Yeah.
seems that offensively, they're a turnover machine, and then on defense they can't get any turnovers.
I mean, we go back to the whole defensive thing, and what you saw the play, Trace threw the ball to the other team like it was a 2-on-1, and the one guy, Trace threw it right to him, and that's bad. But then we lollygag back down the court, and there's no effort. And if you're lollygagging back down the court, there's not going to be any defense if there's no effort. And Fife just killed us. Fife leaving just killed us because we were a defensive team last year, and now I guess we think because we were at one point the 11th best team in the country, we can just outscore everybody. But that's clearly not the truth.
Well, it seems like there was a little ego collision there, and Fife had to depart because it was either going to be Woodson or Fife in my eyes, and Matta just went and did his own thing. But I just can't believe you had arguably the best coaching staff in college basketball history with Fife, Matta, and Woodson, and the two guys leave, and then the program just goes to complete dog crap.
Yeah, and we have the talent, and I mean, it just coaches matter a lot, and talent can only get you so much. I mean, a great coach is great. A great coach is going to win you a lot, and our two out of our three coaches leaving, and when we have a really good staff, it just kills you. And I mean, besides Rosemont and Brian Walsh, he was a big recruiting guy. I don't know. It's disappointing and all. I mean, everybody leaving, and I understand why they did it. And Fife left. I think a big part of it was with the whole NIL money and the disagreement between him and Woodson on that.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff like that. I don't know.
Well, I got a tweet here from Ted Jadlow,
okay.
An old Hoosier, championship Hoosier at that, saying losing to Penn State in basketball is completely unacceptable. I was super excited to have a coach and family bring us back. It's obvious this is not going to work. If you can't coach, get rid of him. Effing ridiculous. So do we think that Woodson's time is up, or is it just the players that just don't really care about the program?
I think it's the players, and honestly, I don't really care what you do with the NIL money. It's not any of my business. But if they're really just coming for money, why are you coming to IU if it's just for the money? And let's be honest here, IU is probably one of the top places NIL wise, but it's just you're playing for money at this point.
And I think that's the problem. I think Woodson has turned this around from being come and play at IU because it's IU, and he's turned it around to come and play at IU because it's IU and we have money. And the problem is the last, couple words there. We have money, and basically IU can pay NIL money out of the wazoo. I mean, they could definitely spend tons of dollars to get kids to come to play at IU. But the problem is these kids, all they care about is the money. They don't want to play just for IU basketball like it used to be back in the day.
Well, my dad talks about this where he'll say, okay, we're competing against different schools, and that one guy, you know why he might come to IU because we can pay him more. I mean, we'll pay out a lot of teams, and I think it'll help us get recruits. But at the same time, recruits are pointless if they're only coming for the money and they're not going to play and give their heart and soul to Indiana basketball.
Yep, and I think there just might be a developmental problem there as well because, last year the team, besides losing by 30 to St. Mary's, they didn't look bad. And going on that run at the end of the year, they were looking like a really good team coming into this year. And I believed the hype. I thought they were going to be really good. And then it comes out and, no one really got any better. It was just you add the 5 stars and Shafino's playing really well. I mean, without him, you guys would not win a lot of games. And, to me, Woodson is just not developing these guys at all. And I thought that was his big motto, that he was going to get these guys ready for the NBA, and that's just not what it's been.
Right. Yeah, it's last year. We go in, we play these last few games. I mean, we ended very well besides St. Mary's. And that's kind of where the hype all started, with like our new recruits coming in. And around April, May, we saw Renew. We picked up Renew. We already had Shafino, and we thought, wow, this could actually be really good. And look where we are now.
And you guys didn't really lose anybody.
Yeah, we didn't lose anybody at all. And I think it didn't help that Woodson handed the keys to Trace and Race and said, here you go. Here's my team. And the problem with that is there's guys that are getting better, and apparently it's just, I wouldn't say pointless, but it's like a guy like Miller Kopp, who I believe has gotten better than last year, and has shown that he's put the work in. It just sucks for him because, I don't know. It's
just not a lot to say. And I mean, basically after this, what is there to say? I mean, everything's got to get better at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
only get worse.
Do you have any comments on the Instagram beef? I know it happened a couple days ago, but
I think
thoughts on that.
I think your game speaks for yourself. And apparently Miller Kopp, Race Thompson, and Xavier Johnson don't agree with me. But it's just stay off Instagram. You're a college student. You should know what Barstool is. You lose a game, they're probably going to flame you. It's part of this whole thing. And the fact that you get on there and start defending yourself for something, they wouldn't say this stuff if you got in the gym, actually got better, got off your phone, put in the work so we could beat these teams like Northwestern at home and Penn State on the road. And this wouldn't be an issue. You're making it. This is honestly the guys that are commenting. It's their fault. They did this to themselves. It's preparing is so important. And if you're not going to come prepared and you're going to do this stuff where you're going to get on the Barstool Instagram and talk trash to the player, talk trash to these college kids when you're a player, and Miller Kopp talking about how they wouldn't say that to my face or something. It's disappointing. And I think Woodson should have a serious talk with him about, like, listen, this is not what you do.
Well, unfortunately, I think that talk is just never going to happen. And obviously the players run the show over in Bloomington. And maybe that's why they're so terrible. Go ahead.
Woodson, I also think this way with Trace. It's like Woodson's got to sit him down and be like, dude, you're just playing awful this year. He has to, right?
Well, it's hard to tell somebody that when everybody in the media is telling him that he's going to go to the NBA.
And mock drafts having him in the first round.
Which is never going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on from that. We'll hit IU a little later on in this session here, but let's move on to another big game this week. Not my game of the week, but it's Nebraska at Purdue. What do you think?
I think that Matt Painter's going to tell them, listen, this cannot happen again. We cannot almost lose. And they're just going to come out and, they can embarrass this team. They could beat them by 20, in my opinion. I think playing on the road in the Big Ten tough. I mean, unless you're IU and lose by 20, there's no excuse for that. But like actual decent teams playing on the road is really tough. But at home, you guys should have no problem handling this team.
Yep. And just for me, Purdue comes in second most efficient offense on KenPom, 29th most efficient on defense. Nebraska, not really known for getting rebounds. Purdue comes in second best offensive rebound percentage. The two freshmen, Lawyer and Braden Smith, are playing outstanding basketball, in my opinion. Lawyer's coming in 12 points per game. Smith coming in 10 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And I saw a thing on Instagram the other day that Smith is the first freshman to average 9 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, with less than 2.5 turnovers. The only other people to do that in college basketball history is John Morant and Lonzo Ball. So in a pretty good group there.
I think everybody on that basketball team is overperforming besides Ethan Morton, but
yeah, and we can get into that.
But everybody on that basketball team is, I mean, Edey has gotten really good, and he was good, but a lot of people said that, oh, he's just big. Now this whole he's just big hype is over, and you realize, well, this guy can play some ball. Now, if you would have told me Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith would be this good, I would have told you you're crazy. Fletcher Lawyer is a great shooter, and we talked about this. For Nebraska to win, they need to limit Edey's touches and don't give Lawyer any space to get a shot off. Well, the thing is, you want to put 2 guys on Edey and try to limit him from just bullying your big man. Fletcher Lawyer's got to be open somewhere.
Yeah.
And they'll just kick it out and shoot a 3. There's no way, honestly, to defend this team, you could say, because they'll either beat you down low or shoot it in your face. I mean, it's whatever.
Yep. And for Nebraska, they're not really a great team this year, and it's really been on both sides of the ball. They just haven't really been there. And, I mean, they're towards the bottom of the Division I basketball in block and steal percentage. So, I mean, there's not a lot to worry about. But then again, it's another Big Ten game, and the Big Ten is no joke. So for Purdue, I think you got to get Griesel. If you're Nebraska at Purdue, you got to get Griesel going early to get the other guys involved. And Derek Walker is a fantastic center, but I think he's going to be a little overwhelmed with Edey. And in the end, I see this being a blowout and a comfortable win for Purdue at home on Friday night.
Yeah, and Purdue's going to come into the game and think to themselves, this will not happen again. We will not almost lose to this team. And like you said, it'll be 20-point win. Probably what's the over under for the game?
I'm not sure. We'll have to pull that back up later.
Okay. Yeah, there isn't much to talk about that game. It should be a comfortable win for Purdue. You want to move on? We can move on to the Wisconsin IU game because there's a decent amount to talk about that.
Yep. So we're right back into those Hoosiers basketball over in Bloomington. This game, Big Ten action. Indiana is favored, I think, by 2. What do you think?
I think you're crazy. I think whoever comes up with this is nuts. Wisconsin, I understand that they have got, Tyler Wall he may be out, he may play. And if he does play, he probably won't play up to his full potential that he can. But people say, and Sam Crowell, I believe, will step up. And they need a good game out of that Connor Essegian and Chucky Hepburn. They need to shoot the ball well if they want to win.
Yep. And against IU, guards have been doing that pretty well the last couple games. Yeah.
It's big man. You look at Seth Lundy and you look at that guy, look at Boo Buie from what's it called, from Northwestern.
Yep.
They embarrassed us. And we talk about defense with this IU team, and it's just like we can't defend these guys. And so honestly, people like Chucky Hepburn could have a field day with this team. I mean, if they let Tamar Bates play any defense, I mean, he tries, I guess.
Yep, he tries, but he don't play no defense.
Yeah. Indiana is entering on a 3-game losing streak, and I'm going to be honest with you, it gets even harder from here. I mean, before you know it, there's 2 games in a week. Before you know it, we're playing Purdue, which is the 3rd best team in the country. And I think it's fair to say how that'll go. We'll need a good game. We'll need a good game out of Trace and Schifino and Miller Coppin.
I think you just need a bench guy to step up because Geronimo just isn't going to be that guy.
And Miller Coppin, Geronimo will need to do a little bit more than just run down the floor.
Yep.
I mean, I'm cool with you not scoring any points and just getting rebounds and getting assists, but when you're just running up and down the court, that's horrible to a team. That kills a team. And you know what else kills a team? Doing the same move every time, Trace. That's what kills a team. And I mean, we've been killing ourselves these last 3 games. There's no other way to put it. And Schifino can only do so much.
Yep.
There's no arguing that he's a good basketball player, but you can't do it all in the Big Ten.
No.
And the teams that have one guy he's so good and he does it all are the teams that are in the bottom of the Big Ten. And when the Big Ten tournament comes, they play on that Wednesday night. And that's your 10th and 11th and like the worst teams. And IU's going to be there if they don't watch out.
Yep. And you got to think about the future here. I mean, they're on the brink of not even making the tournament.
Yeah. And
so for me, you're back at Assembly Hall, but I mean, to be honest, who's going to show up? I mean, who wants to watch this team play in real life, in person?
I know I don't. I mean, I'm a big IU fan, as you know, but it gets harder and harder every game, especially these past 3 games. I mean, if you want to go back all the way to the first game, which was a week ago, I mean, we're playing at Iowa, and we blow a 20-point lead. That's just embarrassing. And if you want to win on the road in the Big Ten, you get up by 20, you need to keep that 20-point lead. And if it's going to get cut down in any, I mean, we can't have it be getting cut down by 20.
And I think the thing for IU is that they get out to these good starts. Like at Penn State, the game was close for 6-7 minutes.
Yes.
And as soon as that's done, for some reason, they just stop playing basketball. They just start walking, jogging around. I saw a video on Twitter the other day. Miller Kopp just completely loses his man, got his hands on his knees. This guy's all the way across the floor, and he has no idea.
Yeah. And it's Miller Kopp just makes me angry with I think he's gotten a lot better, but it's almost like it still isn't enough at some points. And he has these games where he's just running up and down the floor. It's like, do something, please. And he hits a shot, and it's like, okay, but now we're still down by 20, Miller Kopp. Like, what? Where were you in those 6 minutes that you talked about? So we could increase our lead even more. Where were you when we were up by 20? Oh, you were running down the court, and that's why they came back. And you were just running down the court. You weren't doing anything. It's just, I don't know. But
yep, for me, I mean, they got to get back to transition basketball and create some turnovers because that half-court offense is absolutely horrible. But the problem with that is that the defense has also been absolutely horrible. So you got to get fired up. You got to actually want to win a game. And enough with the IG, enough with the Twitter, that's not going to help you win games. You got to get in the gym. I mean, it's a little late to be saying get in the gym, but you got to start. You got to start somewhere, because obviously they haven't started yet. And I hear
Right.
these guys work out hard and all that, but it doesn't translate, so it don't matter. So get
Yeah.
back in the gym and work harder. And then, for IU, they just got to hit shots. Defense has got to get better. Got to get back to transition basketball, because that's what Trace is best at, is running up and down the floor. And for Wisconsin, you can't turn the ball over, and they're not going to get a lot of offensive boards. So they're either going to hit or they're getting back on D. And, for Wisconsin, I think you just stop Jalen Hood-Schifino and you limit him to his assist and points, and you win the game. I mean, because what I've seen from IU, Geronimo's not going to step up. Kopp's not going to step up. There's no one on the bench that Wilson trusts, apparently, because Tamar Bates plays zero defense, and he's very lackluster on offense. I mean, he's very hit or miss. He's either going to have, double-digit points, or he's going to leave with like 3. And he plays absolutely no defense on the other end. So at the end of the day, I mean, who can you trust coming off the bench? CJ Gunn? I don't know. I don't think he plays
the talent isn't there.
I don't think he plays that good a defense, and
the talent isn't there yet.
He doesn't have confidence to shoot yet. Galloway can play some defense, but he really can't score. So
yeah,
I mean, I think IU gets beat again. I think Wisconsin's just a little too much.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Purdue Michigan State game. You want to talk about that? I mean, I have here. I mean, don't let Tyson Walker get going. He's a good guard in the Big Ten, and he runs their offense, and you can't let him get going. I mean, he's putting up 13.9 a game, the highest on the team. And another thing, Joey Hauser's got to keep him off the board.
What day is that?
Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
I don't have anything written down on that, so we might have to power through this one.
Okay.
I got the best game of the week, Big Ten matchup, Ohio State at Rutgers. You got anything for that one?
I think so. It's at Rutgers.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State comes in and just gets embarrassed. Honestly, I think that Rutgers will take care of business. I mean, Rutgers is a good team. Cliff Amore is good. Paul Mulcahy, I hate him, but he's good. And it's just they're a great team. They're a tough team. They're scrappy. I mean, they embarrassed IU, and a soft guy and a guy who's soft like Trey, Cliff Amore just loves that.
Yep.
And if anybody on Ohio State's going to play soft, Cliff Amore is going to play really well.
Yep. And I think for Rutgers, they're coming into this game after going and beating a good Northwestern team at home the other day. It's really a group effort, not really a guy who just like shines above the rest, but it's mainly led by Amore and McConnell. I mean, they're a solid team. They want to play hard. They got the underdog mentality, and they're just really tough as nails. And I think Peichel is a fantastic head coach, and I think he deserves the success that they're having right now, because Rutgers really, for the last couple of years, they've been on the verge of being really good, but Ron Hopper Jr. and Geo Baker, they were very good talents, but you didn't really have those other pieces around them at that point in time. But now, this Rutgers team is really legit. They really like to play defense, and they really like to score the basketball. And I think at home against this Ohio State team, I think they do have a really good chance to win this game. But I think it's going to be a tough matchup. And, this is why it's my Big Ten game of the week, because I just really don't know how this is going to go.
Do you want to talk about the 2023 rankings? We can look at that. I mean,
let's talk about. It says I got about 4 minutes here remaining, so let's talk about Calipari for Texas.
okay. Well, I think that they should stick. They shouldn't try to get Calipari. I think they should stick with the guy they have now as their interim, rehire him next year, and just develop him into a good coach. And I mean, a lot of people, Texas fans aren't going to like that because they might not be winning right off the bat, or maybe they will. I don't know. Texas has they're talented. And I think that's really, that can help the head coach. But at the same time, they still won't be up to Chris Beard because, I mean, Chris Beard is a good coach. Was a good coach. And, I mean, of course, this interim guy isn't going to get up to his level, but after a little bit of development, he could. I mean, look at a guy like Greg Gard. I mean, you want to go back to Wisconsin. Bo Ryan leaves. Oh, you got your interim guy here, and look at them now. I mean, they're the 18th best team in the country. They had Johnny Davis. They had a really good team with Johnny Davis. Greg Gard. I mean, this guy could turn into a Greg Gard in a couple years.
Yep, and I think the thing for Calipari is that, Kentucky doesn't really want him around anymore. I saw a sign the other day that said, just go to Texas at Rupp Arena. I mean, that just seems ridiculous to me that, back in the day it was Kentucky and Duke. And, those powerhouses are kind of going down. NIL might be stopping that a little bit. But at the end of the day, Calipari he may not be that guy anymore. And I don't think anybody at Kentucky wants to play for him, to be quite honest. So I don't know if Texas is going to have a choice. They might have a choice on their hands with, Calipari coming and begging for a job or maybe Calipari just retires. But I don't think his time at Kentucky is going to last very much longer. And I think the guy at Texas should have a chance to develop because they have a great team over there.
And this is, of course, a down year for Kentucky. If you look at Kentucky over a long span of time, and they had one of these down years just recently. I mean, you go into SEC tournament play and you're playing Mississippi State, and it's a 9-8 game in the tournament. So it's just, if I'm a Kentucky fan, I'm mad with what I'm seeing. But at the same year, let's look at these recruits that come in. And Jacob Toppin goes out. Oscar Tshiebwe goes out probably. These new guys could come in. I mean, these top recruits, a lot of them are going to Kentucky. But at the same time, I think that this doesn't go anywhere where we saw this with coaches before Pitino back in the 90s, before Joby Hall, all these guys. This has been going on for Kentucky. So saying, it's just been Calipari, that's why we're so good. That's why we've been so good recently. It's been like this for a long time.
And that's our basketball talk. Check for our next episode on NFL.
All right.